regular basis between the ages of 11 to 18. And when I think about, the majority of the young women that speak about suicide and that, their self-esteem is so low and they're unhappy with their current living arrangement, whether they're with a grandparent or a relative that are raising them because their parents aren't able to. All types of situations I encounter. And my main takeaway is both to have information for the young clients that I see as well as their parents.
Yes.
I get teenagers that are dealing with peer pressure. Sexting is normal for them, and, if an adult catches them doing that with a cell phone, they don't understand when it gets taken away. They feel like their rights are being taken away, or someone is trying to control them. So, my takeaway is just to encourage the parents that I speak to. I talk to counsel both the teenager and the parents sometimes separately, but just to help them to think about some of the things that can be done to not push their child out there into this, this underworld that you guys have spoken about, because it is prevalent out there. But at the same time, what happens to you does not define you.
Yes.
There is help available. I do have success stories where people can get the help and get counseling and regain their self-esteem and regain their lives. So it's never too late to reach out for help. I'm very impressed with the amount of youth that are willing to talk. A lot of them are brought to me because they're required to, because they're, somehow in the state or in the system rather, and they have to see a therapist as a part of their program. But a lot of them open up and share things that they're going through just with their age. So helping them to become aware of what's out there and what are some warning signs and some things that they might want to just stay away from.
Exactly. Thank you so much. And actually, Stephanie, you're a psychotherapist. Give them your information in case someone wants to reach out. We had, a couple of women that were able to reach out to you with regards to the domestic violence. And, definitely you are there, and your services, you actually work with our church. So it is extremely important that someone have an outlet. How can they get in contact with you?
Yes, so I can be reached at Stephanie Herbert Counseling and Psychotherapy on Facebook. Also directly at 278-408-1513. And also Stephanie Herbert Psychotherapy at gmail.com. So either of those ways will get in touch with me, and I do make appointments, and I do counsel from 8 years to 18 years, and then any other type of individual counseling, whatever you're dealing with.
Great. I truly appreciate that, and I definitely appreciate you taking the time, as always, to come on the show. I always tease her. I say I'm going to be the Oprah of the internet, and she's going to be my Dr. Phil. So, So Oprah, I say this every show. Oprah, if you're listening, I've been trying to call you. Let's make it happen, okay?
I want to just tap on one thing she mentioned. She talked about the whole sexting and sextortation, and we're seeing a lot of that. But children don't understand that they're breaking the law when they do that. There's such a push to take a photograph of you nude and send it to your boyfriend or girlfriend. But for instance, if a young lady takes a photograph of herself nude with her cell phone, she has committed a felony, which is the manufacturing of child pornography.
Wow.
If she sends that to him, then she is distributing child pornography. If it's on her phone, she's in possession of child pornography. Those are 3 felony charges that she could face.
Wow.
Now, law enforcement will almost always avoid pressing those
Yeah.
charges, but that does exist, and if her parents are the ones whose name are on that cell phone bill, they could be prosecuted. And then if it is sent to a young man, then he is in possession of child pornography. And then if they have a spat and break up and he decides he's gonna shame her on Instagram or Twitter or any of those, and he puts that out there, then he is distributing child pornography, and they will most likely go after him. And then these kids who think they can send things with Snapchat because it disappears in 9 seconds. There's nothing that disappears off the
Right.
internet.
That's period.
It's on a
yes.
server somewhere,
Yes.
and there are hackers out there in this underworld that know how to get it, and it will be out there. And once it's on the internet, it doesn't come down. When you apply to colleges,
Yeah.
they search for that. When you apply for jobs, they search for that. So we need to educate our young people,
Yes.
and so that they would be wise. And parents, before you give your child any form of technology, make sure that you know exactly how it works, and that you have a contract with your child as to that this is a privilege, and the
Yes.
boundary lines that if they're crossed, that privilege will be revoked. And that's something that if you handle it on the front side,
Yes.
then you don't have the drama that Stephanie was talking about. You have a situation with, I'm not upset with you, I'm not being mean, this was our agreement, you broke our agreement, therefore you're in violation of the agreement, so you have to give me that.
Yes.
And another good safety tip is all electronics are turned in at night. Things don't go behind closed doors in bedrooms. That's just good safety precautions.
It is. I like that, and I definitely, yes, that is definitely needed. And I know that time is winding down for us, but you wrote the book Rescuing Hope. Again, it's a story of sex trafficking in America. This book can be purchased on Amazon, correct?
That is correct.
And I just kind of want to, and I'm going to ask you guys to help me if you don't mind. I'm gonna, yes, please. We're gonna, tag team this, the three of us.
Popcorn reading.
Yes. But I want to be able to give everyone out there an idea of just how impactful. Because, see, they think I'm joking when I say in this first chapter, this sets the precedence for this entire book. Literally, I cannot wait to finish, but I just want to go ahead and, give them an idea. This just a taste. Remember, you got to purchase the book in order to hear the rest of it, okay?
And I will say this, if you get young people to do a book study with it, you can email me at susan@rescuinghope.com, and I will do a 30-minute Skype appointment with their book
Awesome.
club and answer your young people's questions.
Oh, that is awesome. That is awesome. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start it off. This is chapter 1. And again, I'm going to say this again. It's Rescuing Hope, a story of sex trafficking in America by Susan Norris. So chapter 1 starts like this. I need my money. She pulled her tank top back on in the dimly lit room. The scent of their act still hung in the air. She gagged on her shame. Most days she could go through the motions like a robot, but tonight she saw a price tag hanging on her head that read, "Clearance, damaged goods." "You're nothing," he said. It was like he took a chunk out of her already pulpy soul. The low-watt bulb dangling from the crumbling ceiling was a spotlight that revealed her. "Pay you? You've got to be kidding me. You weren't worth the time I spent away from my family." He threw her jeans in her face. "Get dressed and get out of here, you little tramp." "I can't go back to T without my money," her voice cracked and rose. She knew T wouldn't take it lightly. "He'll kill me. Then he'll come and kill you too. I really don't care what he does with you. I'm going to get cleaned up and then I'm out of here. Make sure you're gone when I come out." The bathroom door closed with a bang. She slid her jeans over her bony hips. She'd always been thin, but this life made her gaunt. Then she saw his wallet on the dresser. She'd pay herself. He wouldn't know until she was long gone. She picked up the wallet and counted out what he owed her just as the water turned off. She put the wallet back exactly where she'd found it, grabbed her shoes, and opened the door to leave. His hand reached over her head and slammed the door shut, his face twisted with rage. "You little thief!" He grabbed her hands, forcing them open. The money spilled out onto the floor as the color drained from her face. "Now you're going to pay." He threw her up against the wall, his fist crushed into her chin. Sour blood slid over her tongue. Stars exploded before her eyes when he grabbed her hair and tossed her to the floor. He unleashed his rage on her, his strength and bulk enfeebling her attempt at fighting back. He wasted her again. She lay curled on the floor for moments, listening while his breathing slowed. The door opened and signaled the end of his tirade. "Now get out of here before I throw you out." With her last bit of energy, she crawled out of the door on her hands and knees. He locked it behind her. She pushed her body into a sitting position and dug into her pocket for something to wipe the blood dripping down her chin. How had this happened? She'd forgotten T's #1 rule: payment before pleasure. She would have to face T's wrath when she showed up without the money, and because bruised doesn't sell. I'm sorry, let me make sure I said this right. She would have to face T's wrath when she showed up without the money, and this is because bruised doesn't sell. She was stuck. She couldn't turn a trick looking like she did. Her best bet was to get back to the apartment and face what was coming to her. She made it to the building but had difficulty finding number 22 on the elevator buttons. Her right eye was swollen shut. As the elevator rose, so did her heartbeat. What would T do to her? She knew he wouldn't offer her an ice pack. She began to shiver, even though the elevator was warm. When she walked in the door, he was talking. On the phone? A girl stood in the doorway to the kitchen, trying to convince him to keep her there instead of sending her out for a job. Hope snuck to the bathroom. She didn't dare turn on the light. A pounding drum had taken up residence in her head. She managed to turn on the water and get undressed. She anticipated relief, but tiny needles penetrated her skin instead. She got out of the bathtub fast, then pulled on sweats she found on the floor.
She'd given up looking at herself in mirrors, except when she applied the heavy makeup that T demanded she wear night after night. Her haircut and color weren't the only changes since she met T. She was dead inside. All that remained was a shell. Back in the living room, T stood alone, still on the phone. The girl was gone, probably off to collect what mattered most to him, money. T would sell his own mother if the price were right. She walked out on the balcony for a smoke while T was distracted. Cigarettes were just one of the many coping mechanisms she had acquired. Her hand trembled as she lifted the cigarette to her lips. Her heartbeat sounded like a jackhammer in her own ears. T would be beyond furious. As she flicked the cigarette over the balcony, she shivered, sensing T behind her. Answer time. She turned. His jaw dropped. "What the hell happened to you?" She knew better than to pull away from him, but his volume sent her head spinning. "I asked the guy to pay me, but he said I was going to pay. He left his calling card on my face." Her legs were shaking so hard she didn't know if they would hold her up. T got violent when people ripped him off. "He did this to you before you did the job?" He stepped back and started pacing. "No," she almost whispered. "When I got there, he started moving fast. He said I was late. I wasn't late, T. You know, you dropped me off. I didn't have time to get the money beforehand. I know I messed up, T. Please don't be angry with me, please." T didn't say another word, which scared her. Her body trembled. He stormed into the apartment and smacked the glass door as he went. It cracked. He opened a cabinet and pulled out a couple of guns and a knife, and he yelled down the hall, "Get up, Rick. We got a score to settle." Her heart raced as she looked out over the city. Just as her breathing started to settle, he came up behind her. This time, he grabbed her, having no concern for her injuries, and dangled her over the balcony by her feet.
No, T, please. Please don't drop me. I'm sorry. I promise I won't ever do it again. I'll always get the money first. I promise. God, please don't drop me. She choked back tears. I promise, please. Don't you ever show up after a job without my money. You hear me? If you do, I'll drop you, and you'll be replaced before you even hit the ground. You got it, bitch? She nodded as he let her fall in a heap on the balcony floor and stormed back inside. Her body racked with sobs as T yelled, "Let's roll." She clung to the sliding glass door for support as Rick came in the room, pulling his shirt on. "What the hell?" He stared at her. "We ain't got time for this," T said. "We've got a score to settle." He tossed Rick one of the guns. "Some prick did this and sent her home without money. I'm gonna kill his ass. Don't nobody mess with my money." He rushed out ahead of Rick. Rick followed with a glance before the door closed. And then it goes to chapter 2 that starts off 18 months earlier. And that actually, the next chapter is what hooked me, because 18 months earlier, it tells her
before
story,
she got
and
there, yeah.
she's just like we would see any normal
That's right.
student or any, and that's the one thing that gripped me. It was like, okay, well, it's this
Yeah.
awful story, but it's somebody that
That's right. It's relatable.
was real, yeah.
And it's hard to believe, like, as I'm, again, that was just chapter 1. You guys really need to get this book. And I just think it will bring so much awareness to, again, this has become an epidemic. It happens more often than not. And I love what you said. There was a quote or something that you said earlier where you said it's something about in plain view, but
Oh, it's the crime hidden in plain sight.
in plain sight, and it really is. And that, I think that is what makes, human trafficking so, I mean, just the whole, it's scary. It really is to think that we're in a time like this, that desperation. Like I said, reading that, you felt it, you felt her pain, and I just couldn't imagine living my life. It really does make you appreciate, when you're not going through these kinds of things, to really appreciate, number one, having a good husband or a good spouse, even for parents who have good kids. Be blessed about that, and I don't say, when I say good, I don't want to take away from, troubled kids, but as a parent, it is so hard dealing with troubled children. It really, really is. So when you have a child who obeys, that, one time my friend was saying something like, well, I just didn't like the way she talked to me. Really? That's all you got going on in your house? I'm like, just be thankful for that. I'd rather get a little sass here and there than some of the things that parents have to deal with,
Well, I said earlier that this impacts every demographic.
Mhm.
That one snippet that we just shared, the young lady that shared that portion of her story with me, and it was far more graphic than what I wrote.
Sure.
I really kept it PG-13 so that middle school and up could easily read this. That young girl was a straight A student. Her parents were married. She has sisters. She grew up in suburbia of Atlanta in middle class. She played the violin for her church choir. She was involved in the Fellowship of Christian Athletes and Young Life. And she loved to learn, straight A student. So it is not a respecter of persons. And all she did was she got in a fight with her mom and snuck out to go to a party. And the person who convinced her to do that ended up convincing her to start the party early with something that turned out to be ecstasy. And the party that she snuck out was actually a prearranged gang rape where she was the guest of honor and then she was trafficked. So it can happen to anyone, but I don't want to leave us on a negative note.
Exactly.
This same young lady will graduate from college in July.
Oh, that is
And
awesome.
she will have her degree. She has
Awesome.
a beautiful daughter, and she's an amazing mother.
That's awesome.
And she loves the Lord, and she's fighting hard. She is working full time and going to school and being a mom. And you know, some days she feels like it's 2 steps forward and 1 step back,
Yeah.
but she fights hard.
Yeah.
And she is, her daughter is just precious and dear to me. And she was trying to come up with a name for her daughter to call me, because of just the position that I've had in this journey with her. And she told me her daughter's gonna call me Mama Bear,
Oh.
because I've been the one who has come out like a mama bear fighting for her.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so that's just my encouragement to all of our listeners. You don't have to write a book. You don't have to start a nonprofit. But you can be that mama bear or that papa bear for young people that are in your sphere of influence, whether they live under your roof, they go to your church, or live across the street. If you see this kid who's acting like a knucklehead in your neighborhood, instead of reporting him to the police, reach out and invest and so deeply in and get to the heart of that child and
Yeah.
speak life in them. Because the number one thing that we can do for our young people to make them a less likely target is to sow love extravagantly in their life and fill their tank. Because if they feel good about themselves, if they
Yes.
feel value, if they
Yes.
feel worth, if they know that there is a destiny and a purpose for their life and there's a call on their life, they are going to be really a hard sell for a trafficker to come in and try and convince them they need him,
Exactly.
because they already have a full love tank. So
And it's
just
so
love
sad
and
that
pour into
they-
these kids.
It's so sad that they prey on the weak, you know. They see a deficiency and they, you know, falsely try to fill that. And at the end of the day, to me, the commonality is that they're all looking for some type of love and acceptance, you know, and to really feel that. So
We all want to belong.
We do,
We
of
all
course.
want, I mean,
Of
God
course.
wired us for relationship.
Yes.
I mean,
yes,
He has it in the Trinity. He created us to have relationship with
Yes.
Him. And, you know, not every child out there is going to have a mom or a dad who's speaking life into them. And that's why I appreciate teachers like Timo,
yes,
who will step in and who will befriend that student and speak life to them. And I call it mining the gold, who will find the good in
In
even
anybody.
the troublemaker,
Yes,
the
yes.
one who's a little sass, like
Yeah.
you said, and will call it forth. I will never forget, in FCA, we had this one young lady, and Timo's going to know exactly who I'm talking about. She was a 6th grader, and she came in, and she was so disruptive to our FCA.
Mm-hmm.
And we pulled her aside and said, hey, you know what? You're an amazing leader. And she thought we were going to chew her out. And she said, what? I said, you really are. And you've got people following you. I would really appreciate it if you would get them to follow you in doing this that is positive instead of being disruptive. And it took some shaping and
Of
some
course.
honing, because the first time after that conversation, when her friends started talking, she smacked him in the back of the head and told him to be quiet. And that was not what we wanted.
Good leadership.
But
exactly.
she became an amazing leader in
Yeah.
FCA, and she's an amazing young lady in college now, and I follow her on social media. I'm so proud of the young woman
That is
she's
awesome.
become.
You see, that's what I'm saying. There's always, you know, hope, and I don't care what you've been through. God can turn anything around. And I believe that wholeheartedly. And it's funny because the show that is going to be our next show, we are going to be talking about overcoming huge obstacles in life. We're going to talk to a young lady who is an author. She's now a model, a motivational speaker. a certified life coach. And she started at 16, was given a life sentence, okay, for a crime that she assisted in. And she did, I want to say 6 years. And through the grace of God and miracles, got out, and her life has changed. And now she is such a positive role model for, all types of women out there. I'm going to be blessed to talk to a young lady who has written a book about her overcoming the death of her sister and her husband. Her husband killed her sister, then he killed himself. And how do you overcome that? So, we're going to delve into overcoming great obstacles, on our next show. I just want to thank you guys so much for being a part of the show tonight. You've really opened my eyes to a lot of things. Laura, I thank you for your input and what, your organization is doing. Stephanie, thank you so much for, always giving us a chance to be able to get some much needed information on how we can regroup and rebound. Again, all of the information will be on our website. And I just want to ask each one of you to, tell our listeners something before, you go tonight. What would you want to say to them to encourage them, or whatever it is that's on your heart tonight, Susan?
Well, I just want to say that never in any other time in history have we all had a platform where we can make a difference thanks to social media.
Yes.
And so you can use that platform that you have, no matter what social media outlets you utilize, to raise your voice for hope and be a key in this issue. Share what you've learned tonight. Send people to the 108 Praise website to see the interview.
Yes.
If you read the Not For Sale book or Rescuing Hope or any other books about this,
Yes.
start sharing what you've learned, because you could be the difference between someone's freedom and their captivity.
That's awesome. Timo, what would you like to leave our audience with tonight?
Well, I'm sporting my nice I Am a Voice for Hope shirt,
Awesome.
which, by the way, has gotten some conversation on Instagram. A couple people want this shirt.
Awesome.
I would just like to encourage everybody that they have a voice. They have a ride there. They have been anointed. Jesus has given them the Spirit to speak life into the students. A lot of the story in the book, a lot of the story of some of the survivors that I've met through Rescue and Hope, a lot of it deals with identity.
Yes.
And just speaking into our students the identity that they have in Jesus, that they have been created, they are God's workmanship, created with good things that God has planned for them.
Yes.
They've got a purpose. I was so glad that you started wrapping it up that way, because I was like, we need, and you said that. But just the schools you drive by, the churches that you drive by, there's students there that they don't have enough voices. They don't have enough people speaking life into them. And everybody out there listening has something positive that they can share with the student. Share it, and, build their identity in Jesus, because that's what's gonna, keep them out of this, or help them survive this, or help them make a difference as well.
All right. Thank you so much, Laura. I know that you've been out there. I thank you so much again for your input. What would you want to leave our audience with tonight?
I would just say, figure out what you're passionate about. It's not necessarily trafficking, but if it is, definitely just figure out what your talent is and offer it to whatever organization you think would fit best. Whatever your gift is, to just give back. If that involves just mentoring, if it involves, maybe you're good at art and hosting like art therapy or something like that. Whatever your gift is, it can definitely make a big difference, even if it helps one person. Make a huge difference.
Okay.
I think it's easy to get caught up in how depressing some of these stories are, but to know that, just little things can really help individuals. And, there's so many organizations out there making a difference and changing the lives of these individuals.
Yes, indeed. And I thank you guys for being a part of that. And Stephanie, of course, I'd like to, finish all of this with a word of encouragement from you.
Yes, absolutely. I love being the key, number one. I love that.
Yes,
I
yes,
would just say, for our young people, let's listen more. One of you
yes.
mentioned the fact that hurt people, and that's so true. And you never know what young people are going through. They have so many things that they're dealing with, peer pressure, their home life and schoolwork and wanting to date and just because someone else is doing it. Just so much peer pressure and so much pressure in general. I would
Yes.
just encourage our adults that are with our youth to listen. Just be there to listen.
I think that's probably the best advice we can give. And I just want to again thank you guys for being here tonight. This has been another amazing show, thought provoking. We're always pushing the pencil, so I'm kind of glad about that. We're a little unorthodox, but there is a method to the madness.
So good.
And each and every Monday night from 8 to 10 o'clock p.m., we are on 108 Praise Radio, the Angela Foxworth Show. We always have a topic that we love people to just give us a call in, tell us what they think. I'm on social media, Instagram, afoxradio.com, and then on Facebook, I have the Angela Foxworth Show page and the Truth of the Matter page. Like those pages. I love to hear from you guys. We are actually headed to the Stellar Awards this weekend here at 108 Praise Radio. Let's get our hands up. Whoop, 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 whoop. Yes, I've already got my glitter nails ready, y'all. I am so excited. And listen, I've been
Much
asking.
better than the Grammys, for sure. Much better than the
And
Grammys.
yes, it is, because, honey, that is a purpose, okay? So
Jesus
I am
music.
extremely excited. It's just amazing, and it feels so surreal. And I'll be with my co-host, Jocasta Odom, who, brings it on
Mama
Saturday.
J.
Mama J on Saturdays. So we're so excited to be a part of that. And then, of course, when I get back, we're going to rebroadcast this show Wednesday from 5 o'clock p.m. to 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. So you don't want to miss it. I'm going to get the social media going on that so that they'll know. And anytime we'll sneak it in for extra, in case someone's sleeping around midnight, Courtney might feel like putting it on again. You just never know who it's going to resonate to. So I say it all the time. Thank you so much for, listening to the Angela Foxworth Show, watching us, supporting us, continue to help us grow. We really, really want the support. And the Angela Foxworth Show, where knowing the truth really does matter, and I am always interviewing with a purpose. You guys have a wonderful evening, okay? Thank you, and good night.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you guys so much. That was absolutely awesome.
That was
Seriously.
fun.
Laura, thank you guys. Stephanie, just another amazing show. It really was.
You're welcome.
Yeah, y'all
That was
gonna go
great.
get